Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Plurk, YouTube, and Instagram. Today is the 19th of August, 2013, and this is episode 40, Visitor's Pass. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. This week was really exciting. Amanda visited. She got here earlier than I had anticipated. She got here around 7, I think, on Monday. My kids weren't asleep yet, so I'm pretty sure it was around 7. And we had a lot of fun. She brought 2 of her 3 kids. We went to the aquarium, which was great. I did a lot of knitting while we were at the aquarium because why not? I was working on the cuff of something so I didn't have to look so I could watch the children. Steve and Amanda took the kids out to a park one day, so I took a nap and that was great. My sister left Wednesday night after we went to knit night, and at knit night, Sarah, Rain Lover, showed up. She was in town for training for her job, and she is really, really cool. And she got to see the craziness that is me and my sister together. Everything is funnier when she and I are together. Things that I would not even snorkel at when she's not here, I crack up over. I know Sarah doesn't particularly love traveling for work training, but I hope if she comes back to my neck of the woods, we get to hang out again because she is a really cool girl. And we were all, my sister and she were sharing horror stories of having small children because small children are special. They're like small animals. Let's see what else happened. My kids are not allowed in my craft room, but as you probably know, my kids don't care that they're not allowed in my craft room. And Gabriel was sitting on a curio cabinet that I have. It's, I would guess 2 feet tall. I don't know. I don't have any depth perception. When I was probably 4 or so, I injured my eye. I had to have eye surgery. It had something to do with one of those like hooks at Target, and the only details I know are that I needed surgery and Target paid the bill. And the only thing I really remember about it is that my pink stuffed Heffalump got an eye patch too. So anyway, I can't really judge how big things are. I can't be like, oh yeah, that looks like it's about an inch. I have no concept of things like that, but I'm gonna guess 2 feet. Gabriel was sitting on top of it and it fell over onto the glass while he was sitting on it and the glass shattered. He is okay. Other than the glass, the curio cabinet is okay. I don't think anything inside the curio cabinet broke. Obviously, I looked at everything, but it's possible. I had something in there that was broken to begin with, but I don't think it broke any further. Everything's okay. I was just very upset that he was sitting on it when he's not even supposed to be in my craft room. The other big thing that happened this week is not really my news, but the Cursed Cable mitts were released, the pattern. So you can go over to Ravelry and pick that pattern up and use that in the VKN if that's what you were thinking about using. VKN Craft Along if that's what you were thinking about using. And speaking of, that started last week Monday, the 12th of August, and it goes until September 30th. The idea is to use a pattern or yarn from one of my VKN friends. The list is in the Ravelry group and also on the blog. Projects are to be tagged BPH VKN. And by the way, there are 2 projects in the finished objects thread, which I think is fantastic. And both projects tagged my friends in the post with their finished object, which I think is super great. I don't think that I said that that was a requirement, but I think it is really, really fantastic. So if everybody could do that, I would really appreciate it. Because it's nice for my friends to know that you guys are making their things. I know they could just click on their patterns and look through projects and stuff, but it's nice to get a little ear burn of love. And I can't wait to see other finished objects. I'm really excited about the projects that people are talking about in the chatter thread. So if you haven't talked about your project yet, feel free to go over there and talk about it. There are 4 prizes right now: a project bag, 2 yarn prizes, and a pattern. Details in the threads, go look it up. Okay, I started a project for that, but I'll talk about that in works in progress. Because right now I'm going to show you what I finished this week. I made the Frammy socks by Jenna Meyer of 716 Knit. And they are beautiful. I don't know what this yarn is. I used US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles, and everybody who's seen this pattern has just gushed over it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And the Frammy socks are named after her grandma, who they call Grammy. I think her cousin couldn't pronounce Grammy, so he called her Frammy, and I think that's adorable. I remember when Gabriel couldn't pronounce his G's, so we were continually trying to get him to say, "That's gross," because he would say, "That's froze. That's so froze. Yuck." It was adorable. He can say G's now, though. That was a couple years ago. I also finished the Reciprocation mitts by Michelle Hunter. I used hand spun that I made using Greenwood Fiberworks in the Adirondack colorway. It's 100% BFL, and this is what the mitts look like. There we go. So they've got these cables that come across. My son is playing with the hose. Just a moment. Sorry about that. So it's got these cables that slant across, and I just love the way it looks. I love the way they turned out. I love the yarn colors. And I have 28 yards left. I don't know what I'm going to do with those 28 yards. One of my friends said maybe I could make a headband, which I might do. I'm also considering using leftovers of hand spun to make a button monster someday. Of course, that means I would have to spin more because my collection of hand spun leftovers is probably about 120 yards. And I have a lot of buttons, so I would need to make a big button monster. We'll see. Oh, I had something to say about the Frammy socks. I only did 1 repeat on the leg, and the pattern calls for 2, but the person I'm making these socks for wears shorter socks. However, I have plenty of yarn left over to do another repeat. So the pattern's very well written. I will of course let you know when that's up. And the socks are supposed to be longer, but I didn't do it. The other finished object I have this week is the Dragon Amigurumi by Rachel Rodriguez. And I used Red Heart Super Saver Pumpkin Orange and Bright Yellow and a US size F hook. That dragon is now in Michigan, possibly with its new owner. My sister called me one day and her best friend was with her, and her best friend asked if I would make a dragon for her son. So I did, and her only requirements were that it be bright colors. I think I was successful there. Things that I worked on. I started my rock strataments by Josh Ricks. I am on the first one. Even though I could knock these out in a day, I am just not feeling it. It's nothing to do with the pattern. It's probably because I just knit the mitts a couple months ago. And I don't usually make the same thing back to back because I get bored. I'm using US size 7 4.5 millimeter needles and some random black acrylic and Red Heart Super Saver in Hunter Green. I'm liking the way they're turning out. I feel like anybody who goes to Michigan State could rock those because the official colors are green and white, but a lot of things are made in green and black instead, and specifically that green. I also started a test knit for Josh. It is the Fractured Shawl. Ugh. Things are falling. And this is what it looks like so far. A whole bunch of nothing. I'm using straight needles, so I can't really stretch it out for you. You're like, oh, that's the back. You go like that. I will show you next week, maybe the week after, when it's finished. I'm using US size 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle, and this needle is bent. Can you see that? My children, they bent it. This right here, well, here, is a marker from my child's because they are bad. Yes, I said child's. I am aware. It's a pretty simple pattern. It works up fast. I have been working on it for 3, 4 days. 4? 5. I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 5. More than 3. 4 to 5. And I am through half of it. I'm using Fleece Artist, BFL Sock, no colorway name, Knit Picks Stroll in Canopy Tonal, and in Make Believe Hand Painted. And this is what the cakes look like. I'm making this for my sister. Green is my color and purple is her color, so together this makes an awesome shawl. I hope she liked it. I'm liking it so far. The other thing that I have been working on is my spinning. This is Superwash Merino from All Spun Up. I have tags today. I did my best to find all the tags that I could. And this is what it looks like. Now you might be saying, hey, that turtle looks much smaller than last week. That's because it's a new turtle. I now have these 3 turtles and I started plying. I'm pretty pleased with how the ply is coming out. It looks like that. I compared it to Croy FX and it's the same thickness, so it's a little bit heavier of a fingering weight, but I'm okay with that because I was just going for a fingering weight. And you might be able to tell that my plying spindle is a knitting needle and a cereal box because I only have 2 spindles and one of them is being used to spin the last of this as a single and the other still has Mary Lee's yarn on it, which I haven't worked on in a while. So I needed to make a spindle to ply. I mean, I could have finished something, but I don't think that my Turkish spindle is big enough to accommodate all of the fiber, and I didn't want to force myself to spin something that I wasn't feeling at this moment. So I just made myself a new spindle. I've actually made myself a Turkish spindle before using bamboo skewers. I think I'm going to write up a tutorial for this spindle, the knitting needle and cereal box. And I've already written up a tutorial for the bamboo skewer. So I'll put those in the show notes in case you want to spin and would rather spend money on supplies, well, fiber, rather than tools for now. Someday I will get nicer spindles. I just didn't want to wait. I got a new thing this week. If you're in the County Fair Fiber Club and you haven't gotten your last shipment, look away, but I'm gonna guess that you already have. So this last one comes from Spartacus Dyes, and this color is Cotton Candy. I think it looks just like cotton candy. This was a fantastic club. I love the yarns that came. This is the Braver Man sock, which is a new base from her. It's 80% superwash merino and 20% silk. So it's got a nice sheen. It's really, really pretty. And I love it. I don't know if I told you guys that right after I moved, she sent out an email saying that the base that she was going to use wasn't being continued, so I sent her back with my new address just to be like, hey, just in case you haven't printed out the labels yet, here's my new address. If you have, don't worry about it because I have forwarding. And she sent back saying that she asked if I was allergic to silk because she knows that I'm allergic to cashmere and I'm not allergic to silk, but I have strange allergies. So it was really, really nice that she checked before she just sent something and was like, well, you're part of a club, you get what you get. And I'm not allergic to silk, and this is beautiful. And I already have an idea for it. I didn't read at all this week. No, I don't think I picked up a book other than to clean all week. It's kind of hard to read when you have 4 children in the house making a lot of noise, and then after that I've been recovering from having my sister's kids here. They are just so much more than my kids. My kids are pretty mellow, and her kids are the opposite of mellow. I love them, but they wore me out. So I haven't read at all. And I'm going to close out this episode with some of the best things that the kids said. So the first thing is something that Mara says all the time. When you catch her doing something bad, or when she gets in serious trouble, she goes, "Oh no!" or "Oh no." And it's so hilarious that it's pretty much impossible to take her seriously. And it's so funny that my sister went home and hung out with my best friend, and they sent me a video mimicking Mara. The other thing is the first day that that my sister was here, I took her on the tour, and first she decided that she was going to live in my bathroom because I have a garden tub and it is pretty amazing. Also, the bathroom itself is huge. It's the size of some bedrooms. And she said she was going to move in. And then I took her elsewhere on the tour and we went outside. I showed her the backyard. And Molly got really excited and went to jump on Amanda. And my niece said, "Don't jump on my mom because she's really old." That is one of those things that, normally if I had overheard a child saying that about their mom, I probably would have just smarfled a little. But I was laughing for approximately a minute and a half. Like I couldn't breathe. It was just, and I kept bringing it up. Amanda kept bringing it up. We were watching Pitch Perfect, which is my new favorite movie for right now. I think I've watched it 7 times in the past week, and yeah, it's amazing. Cecilia came in though, and Amanda said something, and I don't remember. Amanda, tell me the story so I can put it in the show notes. Um, she ended up saying something, blah, 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 because I'm really old. It was really funny. I hope you enjoyed the show this week and made something fantastic with your sticks and string. I worked on Gabriel's socks a little bit. I think this is just going to be my project for working on while I'm recording, because that's the only time I work on it. Anyway, see you next week. Bye!